You know that feeling? Planning a trip, the excitement's building. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nothing quite like it.
But then, for a lot of us, there's this little voice,
Yeah.
right? Asking, okay, how am I actually going to eat well? How do I stick with my health goals when everything's, well, different?
It's such a common thing.
Yeah.
Travel, almost by definition, sort of throws a wrench in our usual routines.
Hmm.
And yeah, keeping up with nutritious eating, that often feels like the first big challenge.
Mm,
Even experts, the guides we looked at, they acknowledge that eating healthy away from home, it poses some pretty unique hurdles.
exactly. So that's our mission today, isn't it? To really dive deep into those challenges
Right.
and, more importantly, give you some really smart, practical strategies. Think of this as your game plan for staying healthy while you're out exploring.
Yeah, whether you travel all the time for work or you're maybe worried about that dreaded vacation weight gain.
Or maybe you just want to feel good, have energy while you're seeing new places. We want to cover it all, from that mad dash through the airport to, figuring out the hotel breakfast buffet.
And it's interesting because even though the context changes dramatically when you travel,
Yeah.
the basics of healthy eating, they fundamentally stay the same.
Okay.
Our Healthy Eating on the Go guide, it really reminds us about the importance of getting foods from those 5 main groups: dairy, protein foods, grains, fruits, and vegetables.
Right, the classic 5.
Yeah, they provide that whole spectrum of nutrients our bodies need. Doesn't matter if we're at home or, hiking in the mountains.
Okay, so let's translate that for travel. Even if I'm stuck at the airport, options seem limited. The idea is still to try and hit some of those groups.
Precisely.
So instead of just, I don't know, grabbing that giant sugary coffee and a pastry, maybe look for like a yogurt parfait, something with fruit, maybe some granola, or even a whole wheat sandwich with turkey and some veggies.
That's exactly the kind of thinking.
Yeah.
And the My Plate tool, which is based on the official dietary guidelines for Americans, it gives a really nice visual. It encourages aiming for, whole grains, different kinds of proteins and veggies, low-fat dairy, whole fruits. The main idea really is just trying to combine foods from at least 2 of those groups in your meals and snacks.
Okay.
We'll get into more travel-specific examples later, promise, but that's the core principle.
That makes sense, like foundationally. But what is it specifically about travel that just seems to derail us so easily? Why is it so hard?
Well, our other source, the one with all the practical travel tips for the U.S., it points to a big one. Just the disruption of our routine.
Yeah.
Travel often means, weird schedules, less control over when or where you eat,
Yeah.
just a general break from our normal habits. And that can really mess with our body's cues and just make healthy choices feel harder.
Absolutely. I know for me, even a small change in my schedule can mean I just grab whatever's fastest, Not always the best choice.
Exactly that. And then think about the environment you're often in when you travel. It's like an abundance of tempting, often less healthy stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like massive hotel buffets or wanting to try all the local street food. We naturally want to dive into the local culture. And food's a huge part of that experience.
Totally. It leads to indulging in things we might not normally touch at home.
Those amazing looking fried things or super rich desserts that just scream vacation.
So hard to resist sometimes.
And then there's the fact that travel can sometimes mean less physical activity, right? You might be sitting on a plane for hours or in a car.
It's true.
Plus, food often becomes this central part of the social side of travel. You're with friends or family. You don't want to be the odd one out. You don't want to miss that shared experience around food.
Right, that social pressure element combined with just being somewhere new and exciting. Okay, so we know the pitfalls. What are some really effective, practical ways to navigate this? How do we eat smarter?
Okay, so the sources have some really great actionable advice. A big one is plan ahead as much as you possibly can.
Right.
The travel tips compilation suggests doing a little research before you go. Look up healthy restaurant options near where you'll be. And both sources really hammer home the value of packing your own healthy, non-perishable snacks.
The snacks. Okay, this feels like a game changer. What kind of snacks are we talking about? Things that are easy to pack.
Yeah, definitely. The quick guide has a fantastic list. Think whole fruit like apples, bananas, oranges, or dried fruit. Easy to carry, naturally sweet.
Okay.
Nuts are great too. Almonds, walnuts, but maybe pre-portion them into little bags. It's easy to overdo it otherwise.
Good tip.
Nut butters in those single-serving packs are super convenient. Then you have whole grain options like pretzels, crackers, maybe some breadsticks for substance. Trail mix can work. Just, check the ingredients. Sometimes they're loaded with sugar or candy. And snack bars can be useful too, but again, read the label. Look for low added sugar, things made with whole grains, nuts, fruit.
Those all sound really doable, easy to find. What about packing, say, fresh stuff? Any tips there?
Yeah, food safety is really important. The quick guide says definitely wash any fresh produce thoroughly under running water before you pack it in a cooler.
Okay.
And if you're bringing anything that needs to stay cold, yogurt, cheese sticks, whatever, make sure you use frozen gel packs or ice. You want to keep that temperature at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below.
Right.
They even suggest maybe using separate coolers, one for drinks, one for perishable food, because you tend to open the drink one more often, right? And that lets the cold air out, potentially warming up your food faster.
Oh, that's actually really smart. Haven't thought of that. Okay, so planning and packing snacks is key. But what about when we are eating out or relying on food at our destination?
Right, because you can't pack everything. That's where really prioritizing protein and fiber comes in handy.
Okay, why those two specifically?
Well, the Healthy Eating on the Go guide explains it well. Meals that have a good mix of protein, healthy fats, and fiber, they digest more slowly than meals that are mostly just carbs.
Ah, okay.
So that helps you feel fuller for longer, which is huge when your schedule's all over the place. It also helps manage blood sugar levels, supports healthy weight, and it's really beneficial.
So when we're looking at a menu or scanning that buffet line, we should actively be thinking, where's the lean protein? Where are the fruits and veggies for fiber?
Exactly. Think, grilled chicken or fish instead of fried. Load up on that side salad or steamed vegetables. Simple swaps can make a big difference.
Got it. What else?
Another really crucial one, hydration. Stay strategically hydrated.
Yes, water. Always important.
Both sources really stress carrying a reusable water bottle. Fill it up whenever you get the chance. The quick guide also adds a good point. Be a little cautious about tap or well water quality sometimes, depending on where you are. If you're unsure, stick to sealed bottled drinks.
Good point. It's so easy to forget to drink enough water when you're busy sightseeing. And sometimes you mistake thirst for hunger, right? End up snacking when you just needed water.
That happens all the time. Now, about those buffets you mentioned earlier, the hotel ones,
Yeah.
they can be a real nutritional minefield.
Understatement. So much choice.
Definitely. So the advice from both sources is pretty consistent here.
Right.
First, take a lap. Survey all the options before you put anything on your plate.
Okay. Resist the urge to just dive in.
Exactly. See what's actually available. Then try to consciously focus on the lean proteins, eggs, maybe some ham or turkey if they have it, pile on the vegetables or fruit, and take smaller portions of the richer stuff. And a really important food safety tip from the quick guide. Be extra careful with food that's just sitting out at room temperature. That's the danger zone for bacteria growth. Hot food should be hot, cold food should be cold.
That's a critical reminder. Okay, so scout it out, be selective, focus on the good stuff, and be mindful of temperature. Makes sense. It's not about never having the waffle, maybe just not having 3.
Precisely. And that brings up another key point. Don't deprive yourself completely. Allow for some flexibility and enjoyment. Travel is about experiencing new things, and that often includes local food. The travel tips source suggests enjoying those local specialties, but just, in moderation. Maybe pick one indulgence per day instead of going all out at every single meal.
I like that. It feels way more realistic and sustainable than trying to be super rigid on vacation. That usually just backfires for me anyway.
Right. It leads to feeling deprived and then maybe overdoing it later.
So moderation, what about just general portion sizes when eating out? Restaurants can serve huge amounts of food sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Restaurant portions are often way bigger than what we'd eat at home. So first step is just being aware of that. And second, don't feel like you have to clean your plate.
Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But the Healthy Eating on the Go guide has a proactive trick. When your meal arrives, ask the server for a takeaway container right away. Then immediately pack up half or a third or whatever feels right before you even start eating.
Oh, I love that. Instant portion control right there. And it circles back to having those healthy snacks handy, doesn't it?
It really does. It's worth hammering that point home. The travel tips source mentions it again. Having those nuts, seeds, fruit, protein bars easily accessible is just so key. Dried fruit is another great option mentioned in the Healthy Eating on the Go guide. Having those ready means you're way less likely to grab something less healthy from a vending machine or convenience store when hunger suddenly hits unexpectedly.
Okay, so we're planning, packing smart snacks, being mindful at meals and buffets. What about drinks? They can sneak in a lot of extra calories and sugar.
Excellent point. Yeah, drinks are a big one. Both sources strongly recommend making water your go-to. Unsweetened tea, black coffee, those are good choices too.
Right.
Definitely try to limit the sugary sodas, juices, fancy coffee drinks, and alcohol. The quick guide does offer a suggestion, though, if you're out and want something more than plain coffee, maybe a fat-free latte could be a relatively better choice.
Good to have options.
Yeah.
Okay, any other sort of overarching principles we should keep front of mind?
Yes, a couple more important ones. One is really try to listen to your body. Pay attention to your actual hunger and fullness signals, even if your schedule's off. Don't just eat because the clock says it's lunchtime or because food's just there.
Mindful eating, even on the go.
Exactly. And finally, a really critical one we touched on briefly.
Yeah.
Food safety. Always prioritize it. The quick guide stresses washing your hands well with soap and water or using hand sanitizer before you eat.
Super important, especially when traveling.
And remember that 2-hour rule for food that's supposed to be hot or cold. If it's been sitting out at room temp for more than 2 hours, it's best to avoid it. Bacteria can multiply really fast, and if it's hot weather, that window shrinks to just 1 hour.
Wow. Okay, 1 hour in the heat. Good to know. Food safety can definitely slip your mind when you're in vacation mode.
Easily done.
Okay, let's get really specific now. Let's talk about some common travel scenarios. Airports. They can feel like a healthy food desert sometimes. What are some better choices we can hunt for?
Yeah, airports can be tough, but options are improving. The quick guide suggests looking for things like part skim mozzarella cheese sticks or whole grain sandwiches. Ask for lean meat like turkey, load up on veggies, and choose mustard instead of mayo or oily dressings.
Okay.
Salads with grilled chicken or beans are often available. Vegetable soups can be good. Fruit cups, pre-cut veggies, maybe with hummus. Those are generally healthier finds in many terminals now.
That all sounds much better than ending up at the greasy fast food place by default. What about hotel breakfasts? Those free continental spreads are convenient, but yeah.
Often not the most nutritious start. Both sources point out they're often heavy on sugary cereals, pastries, white bread. The best bet is to survey the scene first, like with any buffet.
Right.
Prioritize things like eggs if they have them, plain yogurt you can add fruit to, fresh fruit itself. If there are whole grain options, maybe oatmeal or a whole grain cereal with low-fat milk, those are definitely better choices than the refined stuff.
Makes sense. Look for the basics. And what about eating out at actual restaurants? Any quick tips for menu navigation?
Definitely. The quick guide suggests looking for keywords like grilled, baked, steamed, broiled clans. Those usually mean less added fat than fried or sautéed.
Okay.
Don't be shy about asking for sauces or dressings on the side. That way you control how much goes on. And always consider ordering an extra side of vegetables. It's an easy way to boost nutrients.
Good call.
If you end up at a sandwich shop, again, whole grain bread, pile on the veggies, lean protein, mustard, or vinaigrette instead of creamy stuff. Even drive-thrusts, you can make better choices. Look for grilled chicken, salads with vinaigrette, maybe broth-based soup, oatmeal, or egg sandwiches on whole grain buns if possible.
Right.
Just watch the portion sizes, stick to basics, and definitely get water instead of soda.
These are super helpful practical tips for all those different eating spots. What about social events? Parties or gatherings during a trip. That can be another danger zone.
Yeah, social eating has its own challenges. The Healthy Eating on the Go guide offers some good advice here. First, don't fall into the trap of saving up calories all day for the event. Eat normally beforehand.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Because if you arrive absolutely starving, you're much more likely to overeat whatever's available.
Ah, makes sense.
If you can, maybe offer to bring a dish, fits your needs, a big salad, a veggie platter, fruit salad. That way you know there's at least one healthy option.
Smart.
And at the event itself, it's okay to taste things, sample a little bit, but practice portion control. Be mindful, and honestly, try to focus more on the conversation and connecting with people rather than just hovering around the food table.
That's a great perspective shift. Focus on the people, not just the plates. Okay, one more scenario. Those horrible, unexpected travel delays. Stuck for hours longer than planned.
Ugh, yes.
Yeah.
Been there. And this is exactly why packing those healthy snacks we talk about, it's just so crucial.
Right, lifesavers.
Absolutely. Having your own nuts or fruit or a protein bar means you don't have to rely on whatever sad, unhealthy options might be in the vending machine or the only open kiosk. It gives you control back.
Totally. And if you're staying in a hotel for a bit, the quick guide had that tip about asking for a room with a mini fridge. Why is that so helpful?
Oh, a mini fridge is fantastic. It means you can pop to a local grocery store or market and grab some healthy staples.
Like what?
Things like yogurt, Maybe some pre-washed salad greens, hummus, baby carrots, fruit, hard-boiled eggs. Having those right in your room gives you easy access to healthy snacks, or even lets you make a simple breakfast or light lunch there. It just gives you so much more control than relying solely on restaurants or room service.
That makes total sense. Convenience and control. Okay, this has been incredibly informative. If someone listening wants even more personalized advice or just wants to learn more generally, are there good resources out there?
Yes, definitely. The Quick Guide specifically recommends the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. They're a really reputable source for solid nutrition information. Their website is full of resources, and they can also help you find a registered dietitian nutritionist in your area if you want that one-on-one guidance.
That's great to know, a really solid resource. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into eating well while traveling, what are the absolute key things you hope people take away?
I think the biggest things are be proactive, plan ahead, especially with snacks. Make a conscious effort to get protein and fiber at your meals. Stay hydrated, carry that water bottle. Be mindful, especially at buffets. Look first, choose wisely. Allow for some moderate enjoyment of local treats. Don't forbid everything. Control your portions. Maybe use that takeaway container trick. And always keep food safety in mind.
That's a great summary. It really boils down to finding that balance, right? Being prepared, but also flexible. And remembering that enjoying local food is part of the fun. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Making mindful choices most of the time means you absolutely can enjoy those special travel indulgences without feeling like you've completely derailed everything.
Perfectly put. And maybe that leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. As you think about your next trip, maybe just pick one specific strategy we talked about today. Just one thing you feel you could realistically try to implement. Whether it's packing some almonds or deciding to survey the buffet before diving in or just carrying that water bottle. Consider how even one small conscious choice like that, when repeated, can really add up to a healthier and honestly probably a more enjoyable and energized travel experience overall.